engine. A fantastic development here. There's another coffee table for somebody.
And welcome to round 4 of the 2018 F1 season from CRASHKU, one of the best circuits I've ever seen for crashing. They call this race the race of 1,000 carbon fiber parts. It's an incredible race, full of romance, full of people driving into one another on a regular basis, which, let's face it, as a cost-saving measure, is one of the more inspired ideas that Bernie Ecclestone had. Why are we at Baku, I ask once again. Anyway, over to Fabio. What did you think of the race, my friend?
That we should have the whole championship run in Baku. There's no question about that. 20 races in Baku. That's my suggestion for Liberty Media. If they want to really make interesting races, an interesting championship, they should do that in Baku.
Why? Just why? They call it a race full of surprises. By surprise, they mean expensive crashes. I understand that now.
It was amazing. Well, okay, the race was funny. I mean, there is no denying that. The race was the result wasn't that good, for Ferrari fans, but it was interesting. There was some really weird things going on.
Can you just give us a brief sketch of the race?
Oh, the other sketch of the race was that Vettel was in front for the whole race, and he got fucked up at the end. Well, no, he got unlucky with the pace car.
Yeah, to be fair, the way I saw it is he drove into himself.
The main reason was that it's in a way, if you want, it's the same thing which happened in Melbourne. It happened, to Bottas. Ferrari tried to extend the tires a little bit, but they got a pace car. And the problem with the pace car is that if you change the tire with the pace car, you lose way less time during the race. So if the pace car wasn't there, Bottas would never be able to get in front of Vettel. But because of what happened, he came out in front. So there was that. And then there was that magnificent piece of driving by Grosjean, which thought that it would be a very nice idea to crash the car into the barriers while going after the safety car.
Sure, although to be fair there, I think that was Vettel moved the wall into Grosjean's car.
No, I don't know. I mean, I think Grosjean tried to blame the guy in front of him.
No, so his engineer blamed the guy behind.
Oh, okay, yeah.
But I think that's just because Grosjean is a bit temperamental, and his engineer was like, "Oh my God, I can't tell him that he just drove it into the wall himself. Otherwise, he'll destroy himself in the cockpit. So let's just tell him the guy punted him from behind."
Okay, to be fair, I know at least of one guy which was happy about that, and it's a driver which he doesn't even drive anymore, but I think he will be happy. It's Pastor Maldonado. Maldonado is gonna be on the moon because you know what? Now everybody's stopping to give me shit. Because have you seen that guy? Come on. Yeah. So Maldonado is off the hook, definitely, and Grosjean. I mean, the thing which was really sad was, when he get back in the box, and there was only one mechanic which tried, to console. It was a silence which was really incredible. I think everybody wanted to kill him, but anyway.
We've seen that a few times in Formula One. It basically means Grosjean won't be there next year.
Hey, but at least there is one good thing. Now people will stop saying stupid shit that they said in Melbourne, that the whole thing was caused by Haas, with the pistol and changing the tires. Because that crash basically allowed, so you never know.
Absolutely. That's a very good point. That's
right.
Those comes around.
Yeah, I know. There was some other curious thing that I was expecting. Actually, there was one thing I was expecting to see on the interwebs. I mean, it's full of idiots over there, but there was one. I said, okay, someone is going to say that. Someone is going to say that. And apparently people forget really easily. But I was really looking for a comment like, oh, last year, Kimi drove into, Bottas drove into Kimi and it was Bottas' fault. And this time it wasn't Kimi's fault. How the fuck was, the same thing? Which it wasn't, of course, but I was expecting the stupid comment. So, yeah.
I mean, that incident with Perez and Kimi, I mean, I just wish Perez would not keep doing this. He really does not understand when somebody else is going to be there.
I mean, it's okay.
Not overtaking. Right? He could have left him room and still been ahead. Well,
I see that as okay, I'm being really generous here. I see that a little bit really like a racing incident. But having said that, if you turn your car in the corner and there is another car there, what the fuck do you expect to happen? I mean, Kimi has been driving for a long time, but he hasn't managed the superpower to disappear all of a sudden. So fuck it. I mean, the guy was there.
It's early in the season yet. Wait till we get to later in the season. I think you'll find Kimi disappearing pretty damn quick. But anyway, that's another thing altogether, of course.
Yeah.
No, I think again, Perez. I put this one down to Perez because Kimi had backed out, right? So there was no way he was coming through. So there was no need for Perez to be that tight,
right?
It's the needlessness of it. If Kimi was still like trying to get in there, then fair enough. He's a hard line fighter. He doesn't want Kimi to dive down the inside, or doesn't want people to dive down his inside every time. So sometimes he'd rather have a crash, right?
Yeah.
We expect that from Formula One drivers. But when there's nothing to be gained by it, that's when it's
right. I mean, he tried, and when he saw that there wasn't no way, he literally, as you said, he backed out. So I mean, I don't know what the fuck he was supposed to do, but anyway.
Yeah.
There is another thing which I don't understand. I've heard people saying, "Oh, that's Hamilton had been unlucky in Melbourne, and now he got lucky." And I don't really see that way, because as we said, something happened with the same thing with the safety car. I don't really see that way. I mean, Bottas was lucky this time. Bottas exploited the safety car. Hamilton had a gift from the gods because
it's more than luck.
Yeah. I mean, if we want to talk about luck, I think this is way more than whatever has happened before. So but I mean, fair enough. He made a good race. He won. So He was a gentleman enough to say that he actually didn't deserve to win. He would have preferred. I mean, Bottas would have deserved to win. I mean, in my opinion, Vettel would have deserved to win. He made the pole. He was in front of the race every time. But again, those are the races, and that's the result.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, Vettel had the thing locked down all weekend.
Yeah,
and, just as I am. When Hamilton does that, I won't take it from other people that a bad, he's just an average racer with a great car,
And
the same thing with Seb this weekend.
Right.
He was on his game.
Yeah. And by the way, I love that Sebastian tried at the last corner. I totally loved it. Think about it. He was second, okay? He's been in front the whole race, in front the whole weekend. He's second. Fuck it, I'm gonna try. I mean, if it gets bad, I get fourth. I mean, it would have been different if he would have started from the back, like 10th or 15th. You find yourself in second place. I mean, fuck it. I mean, I call it a day. But he's got to try. So kudos to the guy, and I really loved it.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was a bit, I don't know what's the word, naive, really, because I don't think going down the inside there is going to give you the best run into turn 2 anyway.
No,
So
yeah.
if he managed to overtake, he was still going to be pushing the corner, which meant Lewis would have been on his back into turn 2 if he didn't succeed. And if he did succeed, then Bottas would have been on his back in turn 2. So I just think it was a little, no, you didn't need to do it there. You could have gone to the outside of Bottas and then taken him into the inside of turn 2, which is more traditional, I think.
Yeah, but I think we got to. And I mean, I'm not saying you're wrong. You're actually right. That's the kind of things that we can say by watching the race. But I think we got to put ourselves in the mind of someone, which again, he dominated, the whole weekend and the race up to that point, and said, I mean, this is my place. My place is that one, and I want to go there as fast as I can.
Well, I think this shows Seb's only weakness, to be honest with you, is that when he's put under pressure like that, and he feels he's been, he's feeling under pressure because it's not what he deserves, then he kind of drives a little looser than he should and a little more, whatever, makes mistakes.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see it that way, but I can understand that it might be seen that way. So yeah,
well, similar thing to Schumacher. If you put him under pressure, that was the time you were going to get him. If you didn't put him under pressure, he wasn't going to break. And I see Zeb the same way,
Okay, fair enough. Yeah. So, do we have to talk about our Max CRASHKU?
Well, actually, I've got some news on this. There's a bit of a rumor on this one. Apparently, Vettel got the mafia to phone up Ricardo to get him to drive into Verstappen.
You don't want to go there.
It's actually Vettel's fault for driving into. Effectively, Vettel drove into Verstappen, is what I'm saying.
Yes. So your story is that it was Ricciardo's fault.
No, it's not actually. I think.
Because I just want to be really precise because it's on record,
Anytime somebody hits anybody else, it's going to be Vettel's fault for driving.
Okay, I see. Yeah, cool. Right. Okay.
Year on, nothing changes. However, in this case, no, I looked at the FIA ruling or the stewards' ruling, and I think they got it absolutely right. It was Verstappen's fault, and it's only the team that's really trying to say it's 50-50.
I have my opinion is slightly different, and it might astonish you. I mean, I think there is no doubt that Verstappen did something, which it can't be done. He changed trajectory twice. He changed trajectory even before the breaking point. And then he did that again in the breaking point. And the thing was that he changed while braking. And, Ricciardo was on the back. And it is not possible. When you have like 140, 150 PSI on the brake pedal, you can't change direction. That's a given. So it was totally Verstappen's fault. But I can't really blame Verstappen or Ricciardo. I mean, I can blame Verstappen easily because I think is the biggest enemy of himself. The thing is that I think the people which were really at fault are Christian Horner and Marco. They should have told the guys, stop, because they had things going on. Even I think lap 12 or stuff like that. They bumped into each other. They had problems with the recovery system, and they were racing themselves like there was no fucking tomorrow. They should have told something before. Yeah,
lap 11, I think. But yeah, I mean, I would agree with you on that point. But I think I don't know. The only mistake for me is Verstappen's treating this like it's GP2.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And that really annoys me because we spoke about this a couple of years ago. I think it was to do with somebody else in the same thing. And I was saying, look, with the rear wing difference and the tire differences, right, the closing speeds are completely different.
Right.
Okay. And that's why the new rules have to be respected. The new rules are, okay, you can't change twice, your direction twice in defense. And if you do, right, because sometimes you can change just before the braking point, and that's allowed. But if you do, you have to leave a car's width. Right?
And
space for the car with overspeed to come through. Right? And they may not make the corner, but you got to leave that space so they can get through. And Verstappen consistently refuses to do that. So I think he needs a huge slap. I'm really disappointed because that was Ricciardo's to win. I mean, Ricciardo's been driving a much better season.
Yes.
I said at the end of last year, I think he's a better driver because he's much more consistent.
Mm-hmm.
And basically, he got taken out and held up by Verstappen all race because Verstappen wanted to prove that he's the man, the number one in the team.
Yes.
It's nothing to do with, I mean, you know, it's nothing to do with Ricciardo going, oh, well, you know, I wish we could fight. You know what I mean? He doesn't want to fight. He wants to beat other people. He wants to beat other teams and be number one. He's not going to do that if every 5 minutes he's drag racing with his own teammate.
Yeah, but it's
slow, especially at the beginning of the race. So
no, I agree with you. It's a really fucked up situation in Red Bull right now because, you know, they have Verstappen, which already has a contract, and the other guy has been faster and more consistent, so he has to prove that he is the number one. He is the one with the contract. The other guy is looking for a contract, so he has to show everybody else that he is a fast guy. And it's a really fucked up situation. But still, the fact that they are not able to manage that kind of thing. I mean, what I was trying to say before is that if I were the guy which is paying the team, I would ask the money to, I would blame Verstappen, but I would ask the money from Horner and Marco. You know, I would want the money from them and then blame Verstappen because they are the one which are supposed to avoid that kind of things, you know?
Yeah, I mean, to a degree, I agree. I don't think it can be avoided with Verstappen. Right? They've already committed to Verstappen being their number one driver, effectively. And this is their issue because their number one driver for the last 3 years has been Ricciardo, right? He's beaten Vettel, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he's
Verstappen.
Right. Yeah. And he's doing it again this year. I mean, he's on 37 points and Verstappen's on 18.
Yeah.
Right. So here we go again. He's almost got a race on him.
Well, no, I agree with you. I mean,
we're only 3 races in and he's got a race on him already. To me, this is just crazy. The way Red Bull are doing this just because they want Verstappen to be the star, it just doesn't seem logical. And if they're going to, and I'm glad that actually that Ricciardo made such a firm move, right? Because he must have known that he couldn't be blamed for it afterwards.
No, right. I mean, Ricciardo, you know, is a racing driver. They want to finish ahead of everybody. So
completely dummied the kid.
Right.
I mean, completely fooled Verstappen. So
yeah, but it's you know, it's this. It seems to be it's kind of a pattern in Red Bull. I remember something like that happened in Hungary with Weber and I can't remember if it was Vettel or
Malaysia, Vettel and Weber. Yeah.
Yeah.
So a little bit different that crash, but
no,
in terms of the teammates coming together needlessly.
No, the one I'm referring to, I'm quite sure it was in Hungary quite some years ago, and it was a situation like that, you know, that nobody was giving way to anybody for all the race, and then eventually they got out the both of them. So it seems to be it's kind of a pattern in Red Bull, and I really think that Christian Horner should go and talk with people like Toto Wolff or some people in Ferrari to properly understand how the fuck do you manage 2 people which want to kill each other every fucking time they jump in a car, you know? So,
yeah, again, I think it was Malaysia 2010, and with that one, Vettel wouldn't give. Vettel came down the inside. This is the difference, right? Weber left space for Vettel to get down the inside, right? Vettel came down the inside with his overspeed, okay, but Weber wouldn't give him any more than that space, right?
No, yeah, but I'm not talking about
as they approach the corner, Vettel drove into Webber, right? Vettel drove into somebody again, surprise, surprise. Vettel drove into Webber to try and create extra space for the corner, believing he was already passed. And Webber just kept his wheels straight.
I mean, I wasn't referring to the the proper details. I'm just referring to the parenting capacity of the team to actually.
Sure. So that was the end of that relationship and that team. That was Webber out.
Yeah. Anyway,
so maybe Ricciardo has done the same thing. I agree. It's a similar situation within the team, and I think maybe Ricciardo's just signed his own release form.
Well, it's a situation that they made. Ricciardo doesn't really care. I mean, Ricciardo now he just has to show to everybody, including Red Bull, that is the fastest one. So he literally races. Every race is a click on the resume, which now is really important. So I can't.
I've got to disagree here because he's been the best racer. He's been the best driver at Red Bull already. He can't show them any more than he's already done.
Well, I mean, when you go to sign a contract, it's different if you are like, I don't know, third in the championship or second or fifth or sixth. So there is a lot of money involved. But anyway, it's done
on how many points he gets, right? It's done on the number of points you get for the constructors' championship,
right?
And consistently, Ricciardo scores the most points for that team. If they've got any money sense about it, then obviously they need Ricciardo. And Verstappen is just not up to the mark yet because he's not consistent enough in these situations.
Yeah, I mean, talking about a brilliant driver which made a very good race, I will love to just name Leclerc. He made a fucking good race. That guy was fucking brilliant.
Yeah, I didn't actually see too much of him, which kind of goes to show he did have a good race because he was just plodding around at good speed, I guess.
If you look at the timetable of the race and you look at the time of Leclerc, he was constantly pulling qualifying times. I mean, of course, qualifying time for a Sauber, but there were always qualifying times. Mm-hmm. And there is an interesting point to be said about that, I think, and it's the temperature of the race.
Right.
I'm talking about the temperature of in Baku and the track.
And the track.
The thing is that we've all seen all the drivers. They had huge difficulties in keeping the tires warm. Mm. And that allowed people, but not only Leclerc, even Sainz on the Renault, everybody was racing at their maximum. They were pulling qualifying times. And this, I think, it's a very interesting point because if you have races where everybody is making qualifying times or qualifying laps every single lap, you have interesting races. You don't even need the DRS, in order to overtake people. That I think was something that they should look really, really carefully. The problem right now, it seems to be, is not even aerodynamics, it's the tires. The tires, they get hot too soon, and the window where they can use the tires is too tight.
Right.
So if you step into a race where you can't bring the tire in temperature, you are forced, to make constant qualifying times, because if you want to go if you want grip, you have to go fast every fucking time, and the tires will not destroy themselves. So I think that's a very interesting thing that I hope they will look into that, and find something about it, because that was a very telling thing about the race.
Yeah. So you were complaining about tires this episode, is that right?
No, no. I'm not an asshole like you. I'm just saying that because because when you talk about tires, you talk about tires of one team or the other. I'm saying that the situation was bad for everybody, and and nobody was able, to keep the tires warm. So yeah.
I mean, yes, yeah. I thought the Ferrari did extremely well. You could see it was on the pace, very quick. Again, I just think Ferrari had a cracking weekend, and clearly in low downforce they've got the best setup. In high downforce they've got the best setup. So I'm worried. Fortunately, Barcelona is a medium setup, and yet have some new hope to try and grasp.
Yeah, but this year it's really funny. I've got to say, last year we were talking about races, and before the race we were talking about the fact, okay, next circuit is going to be favorable to one car or the other. You remember that? Yeah. This year it's very strange because, for example, in a track like Baku, I would have expected the Red Bull to be the fastest one in the midsection of the race because they have a high aerodynamic profile, which didn't really happen, So it's really, really interesting. It seems to be that the cars are really close to each other, and they're really close in a much general way than they used to be last year, where they were close, but in specific, conditions. Yeah. That's really, I mean, let's not forget, it's 4 races. We've got 3 different winners.
Yeah, I think it's a bit of an anomaly to start this season. The cars haven't sorted out how they're going to deal with the different tires, etc., etc. Huge mistakes were made in this one, right? Most of the, people turning up with the wrong tires, right? One set of super soft. I think Hamilton had 1 set of super soft.
Mm-hmm.
Right, he used them at the beginning of the race.
Yeah,
and I think it was soft. Sorry, I think
soft time. Yeah.
And he used them at the beginning of the race, but in qualifying too, he didn't get the first run. His first flying lap, he didn't get the time, so he had to go again. And because of the tire warming problem,
right,
it took him like 5 laps to get that fucking time.
Right.
Which, as he started the race, he was on old tires, so of course he dropped back. I don't understand. I don't understand why Mercedes didn't just go, look, we've only bought 1 soft tire. We can use it in the race if it's fresh, right? But we need to start on super soft or ultra soft.
They have close to no data of racing with those tires, with those temperatures. That's one of the issues.
Exactly. The same thing. Those tires are not designed to work at such cold temperatures, which is crazy. The sticky tires are not designed to work at the top temperature.
No, but I agree with you. And the funny thing is that Sunday we have seen that in order to have really close and interesting races, you need tires which do not perform that well. Or, okay, let me rephrase that. They do not have such a very narrow window of usage. That was really interesting to me. I loved it.
Yeah, I agree. I wish they wouldn't have this temperature difference between the tires. I really do. I understand why they do it because it's racing around the world. But in fact, I just wish there was 1 tire. I'm getting really annoyed with all these compounds and stuff. I think, just give them 1 tire, make their cars work the tires as hard as they can, and then it's down to mechanical grip, right? So
or make the old championship in Baku. Fuck it.
Or make the whole championship.
20 races in Baku. Yeah.
In which case we could just sprinkle the road with tacks and just see what happens.
Listen, everybody is crying, because they want to save money and all that shit.
Exactly.
Yeah, problem solved. 2019 we raced. All the races are in Silverstone. 2020, all the races are in, I don't know, Austin, whatever. Fuck it.
Well, again, it's my bugbear. I asked last year about historic circuits, and nobody decided to answer. But nonetheless, I think that we've got several circuits which are just no good for Formula One, and Baku is one of them. Yes, it makes exciting races because, surprise, people crash. Why? Because there's shitloads of 90-degree corners which don't do anything for Formula One. So,
No, I understand your point. We got to be we also got to be pragmatic. There must be those kind of races. I mean, for the show, they're good. Okay, we all know that. Technically, they're a fucking mess.
Well, yeah. I mean, again, I wouldn't look if it was just a low downforce circuit, right? That would be great. But they do this thing like they ruined Indianapolis with.
Mm-hmm.
Right? They had one corner in Indianapolis which was so slow that you had to put loads of downforce on, or maybe two corners, right? The last two corners, and that meant the cars weren't accelerating to top speed down the straight.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
No, I agree with you.
There's too much wing on, and we've got the same deal here. It's like, well, we want you to take all the wing off, but we're going to give you parts of the circuit where you have to have wing.
No, I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm just saying that one race or 2 or 3 races every so often. I mean, overall, they're okay. If you have one race out of 5 or 6 where you can have a good show, even if they suck, it's okay. But but I understand your point, and I agree with you. I mean, for example, one track which pops to mind, for example, is Hungary. Hungary is fucking terrible any way you see that. It's a stupid circuit, and there is no battle, but it's there, and fuck it. Even if you want to see, even the I can't remember what the fuck they call it now, A1 Ring. I mean, the one which is owned by Red Bull in Austria. It's a very stupid circuit,
It's got a great flow, and there's a couple of corners on it which are
they got a really good corner, and that's pretty much it, So
it's a very short circuit as well.
Yeah. It's a real paradox, when you get to the point that you actually think that, oh, you know what, Monte Carlo is not that bad. You got a real problem, And it's true. I mean, the only problem with Monte Carlo is that it's so fucking narrow. If it was if you could recreate Monte Carlo a little bit wider somewhere else, it would be a fucking good circuit.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
I mean, fastest corner in the circus is in Monte Carlo.
The what?
The fastest corner.
Which corner?
Is the one under the tunnel.
Under the tunnel. Is that the fastest corner? Really?
It's the fastest corner, yeah.
No, don't be silly.
It is.
No, don't be silly.
Yeah, check it out.
I refuse to believe this.
It is.
Absolutely refuse. I'm a staunch Silverstonist, right? If the fastest corner is not at Silverstone, we've got problems.
It is the fastest.
I would actually think that it's the corner into the bus stop and Spa. That's
no. I mean, check it out. I mean, you check it.
You straight away you're saying it with an Italian accent, right? Which is from that part of the world, as far as I'm concerned, right? That disqualifies you immediately.
No, I mean, it's funny. I remember that, but because it's so fucked up, I have this thing in my brain, and I'm more than positive that it's true. And it's bonkers because it's the slowest circuit with the fastest corner.
It's definitely bonkers because it's a high downforce circuit. So even if they were going flat out for long enough, they still couldn't get the speed up that they could get through Spa. So
yeah, I mean, check it out. You'll tell me later.
Yeah. I'll look it up. And,
right.
We'll see.
Anyway,
that's a cliffhanger for next week, then, shall we?
Yeah.
Yeah. The man thinks that top speed is Monaco is where you go for top speed. Okay.
No, it's the fastest corner. It's not It's not the top speed.
Fastest corner.
Yeah.
Not Silverstone or Spa.
No, Silverstone or Spa. I'm positive that it's the tunnel corner in Monte Carlo.
Okay. What about? Are they the Lesmo 2? The second Lesmo? That's pretty fast.
Yeah, there are 2 Lesmo, I think they're a 5th gear corner, or I mean, they're pretty tight. Yeah.
No, you're right there, actually.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be the full speed one out in Spa. I really do. But this will be interesting. I'm excited now. To be honest with you. And speaking of next week, I know you know when the next Formula One race is.
I know. Actually, I do.
you don't, then obviously I'm giving you time to find it right now.
No. Actually, I do know, and
Okay.
because I already checked it before we started, because I knew. It's on May the 13th, and it's in Barcelona.
Oh, Barcelona.
Yeah.
Fantastic. What a great circuit. Not.
Right. Not.
It's 2x2 and nobody overtakes anybody, but I'm sure it'll be different this year. It'll be lovely and hot, and the tyres will fall off the cliff like no tomorrow.
Yeah. I mean,
we can only hope. We can only hope.
They can always throw, I don't know, 3 or 4 safety cars just for the sake of it.
Indeed, yeah. Just throw some tax out there, you know.
Right.
Why not? Either that or put Grosjean on.
Oh yeah. Well, Grosjean can only crash if it's going slow. I don't know. That's kind of thing. I don't know. Poor guy. I mean,
his excuse was that he'd flicked a switch, so the harvesting was in the wrong mode, and it locked the rear axle. I actually believe him, because when you listen to him on board, you hear a massive clunk, and then the car just goes sideways like any.
Oh, the clunk was the sound of his ego being shattered. I think. Yeah.
Either that, or I think it was the sound of his manager. Oops, you're not going to be with
me. Yeah.
Well, Grosjean. Maybe he's got a place at Renault. Who knows?
Oh yeah.
Anyway.
Well, Renault was fast. I mean, Sainz did a very good race.
Sainz was going for it, wasn't he? I thought he's doing really well again.
Yeah.
I mean, I loved his old man, so I'm completely biased for the junior.
Right.
Because, I used to follow rally quite a lot.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Fuck me. I mean, his father is the god, you know? Yeah,
And,
totally.
Good.
Okay.
Thank you so much. We'll be seeing each other in a couple of weeks, I dare say. And obviously, it's good to see the rise and fall of new teams, new people. And just to say, I wonder what Murray would say about Red Bull. He'd probably say something like,
shambles in the McLaren garage. Shambles in the McLaren garage.
Shambles. That's probably what he would say.
Yeah.
So thanks, everybody. And we'll be seeing you next week, next 2 weeks for the next one.
Yeah. Goodbye. And thank to the people watching. Thank to Gordo. Grab a desktop. We'll invite you. You can be joining. Yeah.
Please come and join us sometime. We'd really appreciate that. And managed to catch it. We've got no viewers now, of course, Fabio. So.
Yeah, I mean, we need someone else in there, you know, because we hate each other, so we need someone else to pile on. So
yeah, I mean, honestly, one of these days. Anyway, we'll be seeing each other soon, and take care. Thank you very much, everybody, and ciao.
Ciao.